How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, and welcome back to Let's Make a Game for 2018. We are at episode number 3 of Natural Explorers. Let's take a look at where this project is left off. We've got a world map. We do have our title screen. We changed the font. We made a little bit of a map. We need to add some resource nodes, but I think we need to do our global timers and set up our logic in the common events and add a few plugins first. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's check to see if we can walk in the wall. We edited the tile set so that this would be the transfer event right here. We'd walk in and that's the transfer event. Cool. It looks like it's working fine. All right, so let's start off then. We're gonna go into our database and jump over to the common events and set up some global timers to happen. There's several ways that we can set up our resource gathering control timers. I'm going to use this method, and I may change this method halfway through the game. But for now, I think it's going to work fine. So I'm going to control variables inside of a common event. I'll create the first one. So we've made our variable. We'll set the trigger to parallel and the switch for that to be running. If hard clock on is true, it will constantly be running, adding one to the variable each time, each frame. We may need to add sync monitor FPS. We need to check to see how fast this is adding to a variable. The monitor I have is capable of going up to 144 Hertz. However, I've disabled it and made it only run at 60 Hertz. RPG Maker MV will have less of an issue running games at 2.4 times speed. I'm going to create an event here. I guess we'll have this event, show variables. I'm going to create a new event that initializes all of the things we need to happen on the first map. So I'm going to call this event initializing, and it's going to control all of the variables and all of the switches that need to be set to a certain thing at the beginning of the game. And we'll turn this to an auto run and then a self switch so that it turns off permanently. So right off the bat, I need our clock to turn on. So at the beginning of the game, when we enter the first map, I'm going to control a switch and turn hard clock on. Once we've turned hard clock switch on, we only want this to happen at the beginning of the game automatically. I'll set the trigger to auto run, turn a self switch on. We'll add a new event page that requires self switch A to be on. Trigger is now an action button, but doesn't lock up the game. Nothing is going to happen. We'll put this in a spot that the player won't be able to walk on. The player is unable to walk on this corner tile. We'll put the auto run here, and this will be our initialization auto run. Beginning of the game, we load the map. This happens, it turns a switch on, and then that's all that happens. This sets up the infrastructure so that we can add more variable changes, manipulate switches so that we can set up our systems at the beginning of the game. You really want to have like an initializing auto run at the beginning of the first map that the player will be on, even if you only have one thing to do. So this sets it up so that when the game starts, we go into the map, it turns a switch on and it starts a common event to run. So global timers will continue to run as long as this switch is on. Now we need to see if the game is running at 60 FPS like it should be. This should go up. And I also want to wait inside of a show text to see if it's still counting. We're at 833, so it should be a lot higher now. This is a good way to test if being in a text menu will stop your timers from happening. So if we're in a show text for a long time, are mines and forest logging companies and towns still generating revenue and items and stuff? Yes, they are. You can see that we were in that for a while and the variable went up quite a bit. Just to make sure that this works as intended, I'm going to add a plugin. So let's go ahead and do that. The plugin I'm going to add is called Sync Monitor FPS. So we're going to go to yanfly.mo/yep and press Ctrl F and type in sync, SYNCH. And that jumped down to where it is, FPS sync option. So we'll take this plugin, right click the English mirror and save link as. We're going to be saving this plugin inside the game's JS plugins folder. We'll add it to the plugins manager and just have it toggled on. The default setting, I'm going to set to true. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it seems to be working because it would be off by quite a bit more if it was going 2.4 times speed. We're adding a value of 60 to variable 1 every second of the game. That gives us some sort of control on how we can handle a custom timer for global timers. It seems to have been working with this off as well. For some reason, we're going to set the FPS sync option default value to off, false by default, just to accommodate for slower GPUs and slower computers. It still seems to be working just fine, and if there is a problem, this will be included so that the player can turn it on if they're using a 120 or 144 hertz monitor and the game is running faster than it should be. So we'll include this plugin in the options and default setting to false. That's great. Now we have our global timer that we can use to measure other things and control other things. Let's add another common event. We'll call it mine timers. We'll set the trigger to parallel and we will control another set of variables. Let's create a new switch called mine timer 01. We set the trigger to parallel. Now what we're going to be doing is controlling a new variable. Mine timer 01. Okay, let's talk about the mine timer. We're going to create a new timer for each mine, and the timer is going to run only if party has a pickaxe, the switch has been turned on. So we created a common event called mine timers, set the trigger to parallel, and set it so that switch mine timers 01 is on. We also made a conditional branch asking to check if the player has the first item in their inventory. If they do, we're going to control a variable. Now we have a switch and a variable called mine timer 1. And we're going to add 1 to that variable as long as the party has a pickaxe. But we haven't created the pickaxe yet. So let's go over to items and create the pickaxe. We're going to need to change our icon set. We should probably handle that now before we start assigning icons. Let's jump back over to Yanfly. If you go to yanfly.mo and you click on resources, you'll see Yanfly freebies. I really like MV Ready Ace icons. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and just start with this and amend this one as needed. If you don't like this one, you don't have to use it, but it's definitely better than the default MV one. So to use this icon set, you're going to go into your IMG systems folder and you're going to replace your icon set.png. You want to replace it? Yes. Now all you have to do is hit OK and save your game and reopen the database, and you'll see that your icon set has magically changed. Okay, it's not magic. It's looking for a resource and it found a different one. We've got a new icon set. Let's pick the pickaxe icon. We're going to set this scope to none, the occasion to never, and it's not consumable. We're going to consume this item, but not through the game's, we're not going to let the player eat it, basically. It will have a price. This is an arbitrary number for now. I'm going to set it to 50 gold. I'm going to change all the prices at some point. Doesn't need an animation or any kind of hit or anything like that. It's going to be a regular item with this small price, and you should give it a description as well. Now we've created the pickaxe item. You can see that the conditional branch inside our common event has updated to select the pickaxe because it's in the same item location. It's saved as a JSON file, so it's going to just look for the location, and the data location was already set to 1, and that's the data location we've edited. It already picked up that we've selected a pickaxe. It's checking to see if the player has one of these items. If it does, then it's going to control the variable, and it's going to keep adding to this variable until we get to a certain point. So you can see now, if we have an item and we've turned the switch on, how long do we want it to wait for the item to be consumed and to award another item? Well, that's arbitrary and we can make it whatever we want. I'm probably going to make it a lot longer than what I'm initially setting it, but I'm going to set it to something quick to save me time in the debug setup. So let's say, I don't know, 5 seconds. If the value of our timer increases by 60 every second and we want to wait 5 seconds for this to do its thing, we would just multiply 60 by 5. So we're going to see if this variable is over 300, we know 5 seconds has passed. There's our logic gate. New conditional branch. We're going to check a variable of mine timer 1, and we're going to see if it is greater than 300. When this mine timer exceeds 300, which will only happen while we have a pickaxe, we want to do a couple things. We want to turn off the switch that controls this parallel process and consume a pickaxe. Later on, instead of checking to see if the player has a pickaxe in their inventory, we're going to actually have the player visit the location and store pickaxes at that location. That way later on in the game, when we have multiple mines, they're not all running when the player has a single pickaxe, and we don't have to keep hitting those locations for every pickaxe. We'll have a setup so that we can store items like pickaxes at the mine that they can be used without the player having to be there on site to refresh the event. And we can give the player incentive to upgrade that mine. What the upgrade would do is several things. Maybe increase the yield of how many ores or coal that it's producing, maybe reduce the amount of time it requires to produce those things, or increase the limit of pickaxes that we can store on site. This is going to open up some ideas for us, but for now we need to set up an initial common event that's just going to get the ball rolling. Like I said, we're going to create systems, we're going to scrap systems, we're going to amend systems. For now, we're going to use if the party has a pickaxe for the first mine, and then amend it as needed. If the party has a pickaxe, we're going to control the variable while the switch is on. If that variable exceeds 300, we know 5 seconds has passed. What we're going to do is award the player with a new item. We're going to consume the pickaxe and turn off the switch. Change items. We will increase by giving the player the second item, which we need to add. So let's go ahead and go to the items. The second item is going to be raw ore. Let's find an icon for that. We've got our basic miscellaneous ore. We'll set this to a regular item with a regular price, an average price, an arbitrary number that we're going to change. We're not going to let the player eat this, so we're going to say not consumable. No scope, and occasion never. Doesn't need anything else specific. Jumping over to our common events and our mine timers. Once the mine switch has turned on, the mine timer switch has turned on, and 5 seconds have passed, we will award an ore, and we can run a check to see if the player has lost the pickaxe, or we can make it require a pickaxe every time that you convert a pickaxe to. I kind of like the idea, now that I'm thinking about it, to run a check to see maybe he keeps the pickaxe, maybe he doesn't, or she. But let's do that. Let's run a check to see if the player's going to lose their pickaxe. Let's control a variable. We're going to control another variable. We'll call this variable the lose item check, and we'll set it to a random number between 1 and 100 to give us a percentage. It's going to be 1 or 100, anywhere in between. It's going to set it to a random number. Now what we can do is do a conditional branch, checking if that variable, lose item check, is less than or equal to do we want it to be 50-50? Let's make it 50-50. We'll do 51 to give the player the advantage. So there's approximately a 50% chance that you will lose your pickaxe when you harvest the ore. So we'll go ahead and, so we run a conditional branch inside here. If the item, I'm deciding to set it to 49. If the lose item check is less than or equal to 49, then we're going to take away the pickaxe. The lose item check could be the same variable for every single event. 50% chance, approximately, the player loses the pickaxe every time gain an ore, every 5 seconds. One more thing needs to happen outside of this conditional branch, but inside of this one. We will say, party's got the pickaxe, and the switch is on, the party's got the pickaxe, the timer goes, 5 seconds have passed, give ore, run another check to see, or control a variable, and run a check to see if it scored low enough, then we lose a pickaxe. But underneath that, we want to turn off the mine timer. So let's go ahead and go to control switches and turn off the mine timer one. This will deactivate this entire common event. We don't need it running if it's not going to be doing anything for us. Here's some quick logic. Hopefully it works. Let's try it out. I plan to revise everything several times before final version. Let's say we have an event. Let's put the mine over here. The player is going to have to make an initial investment to start up a new resource gathering endeavor, and how the player will accrue money is from being the mayor of a town or a city here. So you start off with a base source of income and a way for it to be generated over time, but we need to set that up in order to allocate the funds in order to let the player purchase a mine here. So let's do that first. We're going to grant the player a little money at the beginning so they don't have to start the game and just wait. With our initializing event, we're also going to add a change of gold. We're going to start the player with 1,000 gold. I'm also going to start a new switch here. This is going to be for starting town. Or we can just say town timer 1. We'll make this one specifically different. This is going to be our starting town timer. We'll turn that on. This will be a parallel process if starting town timer is on. Now, how we're going to add gold is the same way that we've done the logic for mine timer without the items needed. We're going to control a variable, and we're going to add one to it. We'll make a conditional branch, checking this variable. If it gets past a certain point, greater than equal to, let's say, every 10 seconds. So if it's greater than equal to 600, which would be approximately 10 seconds, we are going to change gold and increase it by 100. So every 10 seconds, the player is going to make 100 gold based on the starting town, which we can upgrade later on. We should probably add an animation on the town so that the player can have some sort of feedback or visual audio cue to let the player know that they're making money or they're making progress. This is arbitrary, and you can change this to be whatever you want or exclude it entirely. So I'm going to show an animation on a new event. Let's go ahead and create that event first. Hit OK. I'm going to put the event right here, and we'll call it animation event, or we can just say animation because this is an event named animation, and this needs to be where it's inaccessible. It's just going to hold a location. You can use a plugin to call this, or you can just script call it, but we're going to just create an event because it's easy to do it this way. It's going to be an event called start town anim. That makes most sense. And it's going to do nothing with action button. That way we can reference it when we add gold. We'll play an animation on the start town animation location. We don't want to wait for completion because it's going to lock the player up every time he receives money, but we want to create a custom one. So let's go to our animations and let's work on adding a custom animation. No wait for completion. Remember, that's important. Let's jump over to our animations. Let's pick a pattern, kind of something we like. So we're going to take Earth and we're going to change the images that it's using to something more happy. Basically, you're making money. We're going to turn this into like a golder color. Let's try this one. Let's get rid of the sound effects. I don't know if we need the target flashes either. We will add a very happy sound effect. And speaking of sound effects, we need to start adding some of our newer sound effects. So we're going deeper down the rabbit hole. I'm gonna put a link in the description below where you can find Audacity. We want to download Audacity and create some custom sound effects for when we get gold. So let me find some change. All right, so I've found a couple of quarters and we're going to record a sound effect to create a new sound effect in the game. When we are awarded money for our town, we're going to use these quarters to create our sound effect. Audacity is free to use. It's an amazing digital audio workstation, and you should definitely use it. Once you've got that installed and set up, we're going to hit record. Okay, cool. If you record it with a microphone and it doesn't pick it up very much, you can double click it, go to effects and normalize it. It's going to increase the volume without adding like any kind of high compression. It's not going to really mess up the audio quality very much. So just normalize it to 0. If you have any clipping at the top and you see that it's still quiet and you got one part that's very loud, you just want to limit that. And there's several ways to edit your audio. You can limit and normalize. This is a very easy trick to get better, cleaner audio. We can listen to that back. Okay, so let's take a selection of that. That's too long. I like that ending part. So let's take this ending part. So I'm gonna take just this selection. I'm gonna press Control X, and then I'm gonna delete this and press Control V. Now we have just this selection at the end. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit more by limiting one more time and normalizing, and then I'm going to add a little bit of compression. Cool. What we're gonna do is export this audio, and we're gonna call it coin jingle, or whatever you want to call it. So we've got that audio now. What we need to do with this audio is put it in the right location. Wherever you saved the audio to, you can use an OGG. Wherever you exported the audio to, just copy it and then add it to the audio SE folder. Right click and press Control V. Now we've got the new audio that I called coin jingle, and I'm going to start it off with GG underscore so that all the audio that I create will be in one spot and I can just go to the custom audio. If you want to get even further, you can add an exclamation point at the top and it'll go to the top. Let's do that. I may need to hit apply, hit OK, save the game, and reopen the database. So now when we look inside our SE, we should see exclamation point. Okay, exclamation point is going to be at the very bottom, but that's fine. It still makes it easy to find because it separates it. We've got the coin jingle. We can now pitch shift it inside the engine itself. So I will bring the pitch of it down to 80%. You can do this inside of Audacity as well, but I wanted to have the bass volume imported into the game so that I can control the pitch with this one. So we've got our coin jingle, and we'll add that sound effect. And that works perfect. So now we'll rename this, go back to our common events. And now when we get our gold every 10 seconds from the town, we should see an animation and hear the town payment sound effect. I want to hear that in game. Okay, so obviously we have to do something to turn it off because once it hit this point, it's going to try to do that every frame of the game. It works, but we need to turn it off. Once we get to that point, it's added the money. We need to reset the timer. So we're going to control variables inside of the condition, control variables, get our starting town timer and set it to 0. So it's going to set it back to 0 so that every 10 seconds it plays through this one time, sets to 0 and goes back to the top. Beautiful. Another thing that we may need to change is the animation is set to center, so it's going to be on the screen, which is not where we want it to be. We picked a location so that we can target this location, not the player. So let's go back to the animation and edit that animation. You can fix that by switching the screen and put it to head, center, or feet. It doesn't matter. Let's start with center. We don't want it on screen. We want to see it on location that we called it on, which is on the town. Check that out. Nice. There's still a problem with that animation though. It seems to be a little big and kind of too over the top. Let's look at it one more time. Yeah, it's too over the top. So let's make it smaller. How would we make it smaller? Well, I just said it. We would batch it. So let's take the town payment and batch it. We're going to take all the frames and reduce the size of the frames by the scaling it to 100%. So that's going to decrease it quite a bit. You could also go in and manually edit that as well. Nice. It's still spread out too much. We may need to manually edit that to get it to what we want to look like. Yeah, I don't want it over here and over here. I just want it in the center. So let's edit that just a little bit more. Let's batch it again and take the scale down to 75%. That's not changing the locations though. We're gonna have to do that manually. That could be a little bit harder because we have so many things going on. That's a lot more difficult to do, but it's not impossible. Let's do it. We take this, we move it to the right. We take this, we move it to the right. Take this, we move it to where this was. Take this, we move it over to the right. Everything is gonna get moved over a little bit. We're probably really messing up the animation a lot, but you know what? You have to try different things and you can't get too hung up on it. You're doing this in a hurry. It's really going to. Can't fight it. I'm trying to keep it more of a centered animation. So I'm just moving everything that I see too far to the left and moving it to the right, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side as well. We're changing it a lot. It's no longer going to resemble what it was. Matter of fact, it may look way worse, but it may look cool and good enough. So that's the thing. I'll start talking and move things that way to the right and move it to the left. Okay, cool. That's gonna work. Cool. So it's more in its area. It's a little bit better in its area. Nice. We can even further change that by creating our own custom artwork. Let's do that actually. Let's go further with this idea. So we're using the recovery for image inside this animation that we've completely obliterated. So I'm gonna open up that animation and you'll find that inside the game's IMG animations. Here's the recovery for animation sheet. I'm going to create a new one by editing this one. So let's hit a filter and put some filters on this one. So I prefaced the name of the file by !DG_, and so I can tell where its original resources came from. And I'm going to save that right inside the animations as a PNG file. Now when I open up my database, I can select on images and scroll to the bottom and see the one that I've added. And I can now use this one and further modify the hue if I wanted to. And now we have a truly custom animation because we took a pattern, but we changed that pattern so much. We changed the images that it used. We created a new image based off of default RTP. So it's been customized. That is an animation that I guarantee nobody else has that animation. And we created a custom sound effect for it. And it's all the little touches like that that's going to make your game stand out. You don't want to spend too much time on any one of them, but you want to do many of them so that it feels very different. In the next episode, we're going to change this avatar and probably have a different art style. I don't know how it's going to match the world, so everything's up for debate and change. Leave a comment below if you want to see something specific, what you would like to see me tackle next. We got to dig ourselves out of the rabbit hole. But we're getting our money every turn from this town. It's awarding 1,000 to start with, and it turns on the switch so that on our common events, we're getting 100 gold every 10 seconds approximately. So that's going to give us the money to build a mine here. So what we're going to do is we're going to show a text and ask the player, do they want to build a mine here? If they say yes, then we should probably let the player know what it would cost. Construct a mine at this location, it'll cost 1,000 gold. Actually, let's make it cost 1,300 gold, because that's going to give us some time. Instead of putting in the commas right now, I'm going to actually use a plugin, which we'll add maybe in the next episode, that will turn all of the digits. It'll automatically add commas when we put in digits like that. So I'm just going to do \G to signify that that is gold. We'll probably do it at the beginning, since we did the $sign. Do you want to construct a mine? You would need at least 1,300 monies for that. Maybe we'll do M. I'll change it to M for monies. Yeah, let's do G right here. And inside of our system, change the $sign to M. It's just going to be monies. Kind of like, I guess the Kingdom Heart uses monies, but whatever. So would you like to construct a mine here? It's going to cost 1,300. If they say yes, we need to do a conditional branch to see, does the party have greater than or equal to 1,300? Otherwise, we're going to do an else check on that one. So if they do have greater than or equal to 1,300, we're going to change gold and take that 1,300. Decrease their money by 1,300. We can do a sound effect here, an animation or something, to let the player know that they just bought a new mine, which we'll work on in the next episode probably. We need to start the timer. So what we'll do is turn on a switch. We're going to control the switch for the mine timer 1. We'll turn that on. If they do not have the money, then we'll tell them, show text, you don't have enough. Another thing you can do when you let the player know they don't have enough money, they're going to be like, well, how much do I have? You can do some control variables to easily show the player how much money they've got. Let's look about how to do that real quick. We're going to control a variable and we're going to call it player's money. And we're just going to set this to some game data. We'll set this to the game data other gold. Right when they checked this, they did not have the 1,300. We're going to tell them that they don't have enough, but they're going to want to know how much they have, so we can tell them in the same text. And how you would do that is by putting the amount they have into a variable, and then you can show them a variable in the text. You currently have v, and you have to put the number, so we are storing it in variable 5. We can just go like that. You currently have variable 5. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. At the beginning of the game, we're going to start over here, and we have 1,000 to start with. Every 10 seconds, we're going to be gaining another 100. We're going to use this one that's set to an O. Players should be able to walk there. Construct a mine at this location. It's going to cost 1,300 M. Yes, build a mine here. You don't have enough M. You currently have 1,000. We may need to add a space to this event because add an additional space for that. We'll look at the formatting for that as well. We got this place giving us money, and it should be playing an animation. We have 1,000, and every 10 seconds, this town is going to give us another 100. Now we have 1,100. We go over here, construct a mine at this location. Not right now, it does nothing. If we say yes, it does. We don't have enough. It tells us we currently have 1,100. But you can hear the common event is still happening. We would have 1,200 right now. Yep. And even though we're in a text, you can hear the sound effect showing when you get your money. Now we have the money. So if we say yes, we built a mine there. We need to change the event now because the mine is currently active. The mine is going to be checking if we have pickaxes, and we probably need to do some sort of animation play right here. We don't want to make like a cancel sound effect, because then they're going to be hearing constantly when you have several mines that are out of pickaxes. Maybe do some sort of animation that plays on that location. If the player's walking around, they can see they don't have pickaxes on that spot. We're going to figure out a lot more logic and how the game works in the next episode. We've got a lot of editing to do, and these videos take pretty much all day. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me on episode 3 of Natural Explorers, the Let's Make a Game for 2018. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. I'm having fun with this new idea, working on this series with highly edited videos. It's really a fun and rewarding experience when you guys interact with me. So I'm appreciating all of the comments you guys are leaving. Please continue to leave the comments below. I'm going to update the credits. I read every comment for this series. If you have a special request that you want to see in this series, please let me know. Please put it in the comments below and I will add you to the text file when this game finally ships. I hope to get all of your ideas into the game. Obviously, if we have conflicting ideas, someone's idea is not going to get in. Nevertheless, please leave your ideas below and comments you would like to say about this series. If you found it helpful, a thumbs up is really appreciated. If you would like to support me, I have a patreon.com/driftwoodgaming. You can go there, patreon.com/driftwoodgaming, to support me monetarily. If you cannot support me monetarily, but you still want to show your support, that's also very appreciated. We have a Discord channel. Come hang out in the Discord. The link will be in the description below. I will put a link in the description for some of the plugins I've added, the Sync Monitor FPS. I have a whole list of things I wanted to do in this episode, and we only scratched a little bit in like 70-something minutes. So hopefully you guys will stick around and continue watching this series. Let me know if you like it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay awesome, guys. Bye-bye.